together for the man, the myth, the legend, Master Locker, Jimmy Scoo B Doo Boston! Let me hear those hands, y'all! Clap, 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 clap. Let's go, Scooby.
Hey, this is Lil B, representing Funked Up TV. I'm doing an interview with Master Locker Scoo B Doo, who is lucky to join us here in the Bay Area. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to do this.
No, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So the very first question I want to ask was, how was locking introduced to you?
The first time I seen locking in my whole life was when I went to Maverick's flat. I seen Don Campbell. He was what you see of, if you know about locking, Don now. He wasn't doing that then, but what I seen at that time wasn't even called locking. There wasn't no name to it. I just seen a guy out there doing some steps different than anybody else, and there was no one else doing it but him, nobody else. And I said, I don't know how to dance, but that's what I want to learn how to do. I don't know what it is, but I want to learn how to do that. And that's the first time locking was introduced to me. Actually, that night I went home trying to practice what I had seen. I didn't know his name. I didn't even introduce myself to him. I just seen him and watched him and took that home and practiced in a little broken mirror that I had. Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning it was just you and Don?
After I met him, I was the first locker then. You know, after I met Don, after like about a month later, he noticed me trying to do what he was doing, and after months had passed, and he noticed me catching on and stuff like that. There wasn't nobody but me and him, and which made me the first locker because he's the creator. Yeah. There was only me and him in the beginning.
That's great. Which moves did you help create?
I didn't create any moves. I created steps.
Okay.
Don created all the moves. Okay, and the moves into locking, it starts and ends with Don Campbell, because he made it up, created it, and it's his. And then steps are added to what he created. And I was the first one to come along with steps to what Don had created, his moves. And I came up with, at that time, in 1970, I came up with 4 steps. I made up 4 steps.
Nice.
4 different steps.
Okay. So you mentioned you're in a group called Something Special. Can you tell us more about what you did in that group and what the group did?
That was a singing and dancing group. Other than the Lockers, because now the Lockers came out in 1973, Something Special didn't start till 1974, and we were asked by this promoter to start a group that had dancing in it and was able to sing. So Demita called me up and says, Jimmy, you want to be in the dance and singing group? And I said, yeah. And I said, okay, well. So we got in that group and we went European-wide. We went all over the world. And since I was a locker and did locking from 1970 all the way up to that time, and I was the first locker to go to those countries in which we were booked at. which was Japan, China, Singapore, Lolo, France, England, all the different countries all over the world.
There's two movies I was curious about hearing the story. Can you tell us how the Stop and Go and the Scoo B Doo were created?
Scoo Doo. Okay, the Scoo Doo. I'll start off with that one.
Okay.
Okay. Now, locking is the first thing I seen Don Campbell do, and it's the upper part. When I seen him, the very first time I seen him, I would go home and sit on my bed and practice what Don did. So, which should let you know that there was no steps. I didn't see him except for what James Brown did. He did the splits, and what the Nicholson brothers did, some knee drops. But I had seen that before. But what Don was doing was he was moving his arms and pointing and giving himself 5 and slapping his hands and stuff. That's what I went home to learn. So I sat on my bed and I would just practice that. So there's one particular thing that he did that I never seen nobody else do before, and it was called the lock. And then he finally named it that. He did the lock, and so I start doing the lock. I wanted to get the lock down good. And a lot of people don't know now that lock is in the Scoo B Doo. Now, what is a Scoo B Doo? Scoo B Doo is a step, like you're stepping, okay? And at that place where I was living, I kept sliding down the banister all the time, sliding down. The manager would say, you know, you gotta quit sliding down this banister. You keep sliding down the banister. Why don't you walk like everybody else? And I said, well, I'm a dancer. I just had a dance. She just wouldn't dance up it, you know. So I said, okay. So I just started dancing up it, and I was doing what is now the Scoo B Doo. I just started stepping up there like that, backwards. You know, start going to backwards. Hey, see me? I'm doing it backwards. I just step up. So that step, I put Don's lock with that step, and I made the Scoo B Doo. That's the first thing I ever made up. And I called that step the Scoo B Doo. And it's lock, Scoo B Doo. Okay? That I didn't name. Demita named it because she says, why are you always doing that? It's because I didn't know I had made it up, but I knew I liked it. And I just did that all the time. And she says, well, I'm going to call that the Scoo B Doo. And when she named it the Scoo B Doo, I seen people start doing it. And so I said, oh man, they like that. I want to make up some more steps, you know. You asked me about the Stop and Go.
Yes.
You want me to tell you how that came about?
Yes, please.
Well, the Stop and Go is came from Camelot Jr. is now living with me after a year and a half of Don creating the lock. And we meet Camelot Jr. and Camelot Jr. needs a place to stay, so he's living with me. But in the beginning, Camelot Jr. didn't have no front teeth. Okay, and this particular guy who was an orthodontist, he said, you know what? We're putting on a show, and I can get, no offense, but if you guys do the show for us, we can't pay you no money, but I can get his teeth fixed. And so Camelot Jr. said, hey, dude, can you do it? I said, yeah. So as we were practicing one day, he was sitting on a bed because he had asthma. So I was just standing there doing the breakdown. You know what the breakdown is? Okay, so I'm doing the breakdown, and if you know how to do the Stop and Go, you'll see that if you pay attention, the breakdown is in it. But anyway, I was just doing the breakdown, waiting for him to rest. And I noticed that he wasn't going to get up. So if you do the breakdown, and then you turn this way, and then I turned back to look at him, he says, wait a minute, what was that? Do that again. So I did the breakdown, and I turned that way, and I turned back like I was going to leave and come back. And he says, oh man, Jimmy, you know what? You might have made up another step. So he got up, and we did it together. Breakdown, turn, and back. Breakdown, turn, and back. And that's how the Stop and Go was created at that time. And he called it the Quickie. But when I went to Demita and I said, hey, I want to show you what I made up, and she says, that's like a ballet step. That isn't called the Quickie. We're going to call that the Stop and Go. And since she's my girlfriend, I said, we're going to call it the Stop and Go. Yeah, so we called it the Stop and Go. And that's how that was created.
All right. So you just recently came back into the scene.
Yeah.
And I read that your wife had no idea about your dance life.
No.
And we're also wondering, where were you before you decided to come back into the scene and start teaching again?
Well, I'll talk about my wife part first.
Okay.
She didn't know that I was in the group, the Lockers. Well, I wasn't in the group, the Lockers, but a locker, an original locker. And I had left all that behind me, okay? And so when I met her, the first night that we went out, I'm thinking in my head, I'm always thinking locking when it comes to dancing. She says, "Can we go out and dance?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we can go out and dance." So we went out to dance, and when we did, she got up on the dance floor and said, well, no, she said, "Well, come on, let's dance." We got up on the dance floor, started dancing. And I said to myself, I'm not gonna do any moves or locking, any dancing, nothing like, because I already said I wasn't gonna lock anymore. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna regular dance. So I didn't even act like I even knew how to dance. And the reason why is because I didn't want to explain to her what had happened in my past. So I knew it eventually one day come out, but I didn't. I never said nothing. And years and years and years went by, and I just still ain't never said nothing. Until one day it finally came out. I still didn't mention about locking, but I mentioned that I was a dancer. So, but I never locked. Never one time did I ever do any locking. And so she said, "Well, if you knew how to dance, let me see." Because now my mother done told her, and she's seen a picture of me and everything like some years later. So I showed her that I can dance, but she can't see from the pictures that we took that we were ever lockers, that I ever locked. So my so-so dancing was enough for her to think that, oh, this is what he done. It's not too bad. This was years later. Still, she never knew that I was a locker. And I got in trouble when we got back in the scene. She was really shocked. Yeah, that all you guys knew me.
Y'all knew.
Yeah. So but the other question you said,
just basically, what were you doing before you came?
No, what was I doing? Well, I was. I did a lot of social dancing and stuff like that before I met my wife, and I didn't know anything about computers and internet and all that stuff. So I never did go into YouTube, never did none of that stuff. So I didn't know that anything was happening out in the world about what is happening, what I see now. So I started a business, a landscaping business. Had I didn't known that this is all going on, I would never started a landscaping business. But I started a landscaping business and really got into landscaping. So that's what I was doing. And it goes back a little further than that, the reason why I stopped locking, but then we will probably bring that up on a later date.
Yeah.
That won't be brought up now.
That is totally okay. So now that you've come back into the scene and you've been going out to different places to see different communities and the different locking cultures, I was wondering, what do you think about locking that you see today?
Well, this is what's so wonderful, and this is what I would like everybody to know, is that the locking now is improved, but it improved for one reason, and this is what everyone has to understand, is that I love what I see in the GoGo Brothers, Bosch and his brother, and a lot of other guys that are out here dancing. I love to see them lock, and I love the dancing too. But locking is my favorite out of all the dances, because in the beginning, I have to say it like this. In the beginning, it was locking, then it started popping, and then it went to b-boying, and breakdance, b-boying, and that's where I left. Was right there. So imagine me coming back now, seeing whacking and crumping and all these other different styles that are out here now. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that this many styles of dancing is out here now. This is incredible. Now, I'm not saying it all started from locking, but that was a kickoff. Seeing us on Soul Train, it ended hitting it, and then it started moving on and on and on and on and on and on, which makes it look very good. But the part about the locking, and this is what I really want everybody to know, that locking will grow. It's already been 40 years, and it will keep growing and keep growing. Why? It's because people is going to take what Don Campbell created, his moves, and keep adding steps to it like I did in the beginning. And that's what they're doing now. They're adding steps to it. They come up with these creative moves with the same foundation that Don Campbell created. And that's the way to keep going. It won't turn into a twist of mashed potatoes and go out and come in and go out. That little part that Don did, them 8 moves, it could have went in and went out. But it keeps going because people keep adding stuff to it, steps to it. You know, and that's what it's going to keep it big and keep it more interesting to do. And that's what I see about what's happening now. And and a lot of this ain't only for locking. This is for all dance steps. Whacking would never have to go out. All these other dance styles would never have to go out if someone little lights it and keeps making it better, and keep it evolving and keep it going and keep it moving. Then it'll be okay. If you don't do it, then it won't be done and it'll die.
Now that you've come back, how long do you plan on teaching?
For hopefully,
Yeah.
for another 2 years.
Oh, why just 2 years?
You gotta set a goal somewhere. You know, I said 2 years. You know, if I said 5 years, I'd be like, oh well, man, that is a long time. See, 65 years old. I mean, 65-year guys old are jumping up and down. No, I think I may be able to last 2 years. Now I'm pushing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a message, okay, and my sister always speaks about Christ and the Lord, and we were raised up like that. I have a message for everybody, and I really believe that the Lord brought me back, you know, and if it wasn't for my sister, I probably wouldn't even be here now, because her and my mother was always, boy, you need the Lord, you need to get back, you need to, you know. So if you knew her, you'd see what I'm talking about, man. She's beautiful. So I'm back. And on the grace of God, I'm back. So I'm here to, you know, I'm here to let everybody know that all dancing is about the truth, about telling the truth, so you don't make a circle and end up seeing that it wasn't. So you got to tell the truth in the beginning, so when it makes a circle, it'll still be the truth. Yeah, it's got to. So I'm here to let everybody. I'm here to let you know locking is good, not bad. I've heard some things out here, but I'm gonna let you know ain't nothing wrong with this. Don Campbell made this thing up. He created this, and he did it because he was happy, and it should stay that way.
At the end of the classes that you had yesterday and today, you introduced a book to everybody.
Yeah.
Could you kind of?
Oh, this book here?
Yeah. Could you speak a little bit about this book?
Okay, this book here is, I thought of this, and what I'm doing is putting everyone's name down who takes my class. After they take my class, me and my wife, Gina, this is her and my idea, we thought of this together, we're going to give certificates to everyone who's taken the class on up to 2,000. And they're going to be registered, and it's going to be signed by me, okay? This will say on the certificate that I'm going to give, that everybody takes a class, I'm going to put on there that you have taken a master class, and I'm going to name the people who were in the beginning, you know, like Demita, me, Camelot Jr., you know, Shabadoo, Alpha, all these people. I'm going to name everybody's name, Skeeter Rabbit, everybody. I'm going to put them in the beginning, because they were there in the beginning. You know, Fluky Luke and the rest of them, everybody. And then that certificate that I give you, you would know that it's coming from a master class. And that way everybody will be happy, because you will hear the truth from me if you take my class. And that way it won't be no politics if you hear it from somebody else. There ain't no politics. It's the truth. And that's what this book is about. This is the reason why everybody who signs this book will always be in here, and they're going to get that from me.
That's a really nice gesture. That's really powerful.
Thank you. Are you in here?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Probably in here twice at least.
You're in here twice? Well, somebody got an eraser. No, I'm just kidding. Only get me in there once.
So you spoke a little bit about it earlier, but can you speak about locking creativity and how you think the lockers today can keep the dance alive? And you also introduced to us in the class a new move, the pause. Can you just speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, creativity. Where does that come from? Well, if you were always upset, you can't create, you can't think of creating anything. So what is dancing all about? Well, for 2,000 years, dancing's all been about having fun, having a good time. So when you're having a good time dancing and having fun dancing, street dancing is having a good time, having a lot of fun, you're going to be able to create. You're going to be able to think of new moves. And that's what's happening now. And so I am so happy to be back. Since I've been back, I created a new step. It's called the pause. And probably had to put the Scooby pause on, and I'm not thinking anybody might take it, but I just probably should put that first. Maybe it's the Scooby pause. The pause. But how did I create that? Well, just like Don Campbell was able to create these steps, these moves in locking, by accident he was making these moves. By accident he was pointing. It just was, and he kept it. Well, that's how I created the pause. It was by accident. I was made of a routine for something else. And I said, oh, wait a minute. And I know something is good at the time I'm doing it. And I thought, that particular move looks good. So let me practice it. And I practiced and practiced for like about 3 weeks until I got it down to where I named it the pause. The movement of it looks like what it's named. And that is probably, let me see. I did some other steps, but the most creative one that I did so far is called the pause. And that is what a lot of the people out here are doing now. They're creating things and they're keeping things going so they can keep moving. And that's very important. Again, you got to leave politics alone, and you got to be happy. You got to go out there and get into contests. You don't have to get into big ones. You can get into small contests. It's all about having fun and being happy. I'm telling you, that's what it is. And if it is, you're going to create something. You're going to make something up.
That's great advice for all of us.
Yes.
Do you have any last messages you'd like to say to everyone who's watching this interview?
Yeah. Everyone, it's good to have a good sense of humor. And it's good to make sure that when you talk about any particular style of dancing that you like to do, if you are going to put your stamp on what you say, make sure you did your research. Make sure you know your background. Make sure before you start preaching history that you know what you're talking about. Because if you don't, it's going to come back around and it's going to bite you. So be sure you just be honest and tell the truth. And if parents hear what I'm saying right now, make sure if your son wants to dance, let him do it, because he's going to be happy. This is something, and plus it keeps you in great shape. You know what I'm saying? You need a cardiovascular, everything. You want to be in good shape without having to do it, without having to go pay for it or buy a tape. It keeps you in great shape. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my wife's husband, he's in great shape now. He's, why? Well, because, does he dance? I don't know, but he's sure in great shape. But anyway, you want to keep that in mind. You want to keep in mind that not dancing is a fun thing. I'm having a good time. It's all positive. So if you want to be positive, let's go dancing. Go dancing. And that's what I did. I mean, I was like this before I went dancing. When I seen Don Campbell, stop shaking. But that's another book.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Scoo B Doo, thank you for doing this interview, and we're so grateful to have you back.
I'm glad to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we have you do a shout out to Thumbed Up TV? Can you do a shout out to Thumbed Up TV?
A shout?
A shout out. Like just say,
Oh, what was the name of it?
Funked Up.
TV.
The Funked Up TV.
Yeah.
The Funked Up TV.
Just funked up. Just funked up.
Hey, shut the front door.
We about to make it funky.
I sure like to say to everybody, I'm giving my big shout out to the Funked Up TV.
Thank you.